Happy to truck's a bit weird. So I'd like to also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're gathered and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. I would also like to acknowledge the men, women and children in Nauru and Manus who have been protesting for 161 and 107 days respectively. Protesting their 1134 and 1136 days in detention. I'd also like to acknowledge my former colleagues here today and all those who have spoken out. 103 and counting, teachers, social workers, doctors, psychologists, all of us who are witness to what is happening in offshore detention and onshore. My name is Jane Willie and I'm a teacher who worked in the Nauru Processing Centre School between July 2014 and March 2015. I'm back teaching now and we had parent-teacher interviews this week at my new school, discussing strengths and challenges of kids, giving praise, getting feedback, and just generally loving being able to tell parents how happy and proud I was of their kids' progress, their potential and their participation. Teaching other people's children is a privilege and it's a responsibility like no other. You build relationships of trust and camaraderie, laughter and friendship, questioning and debating. It's powerful, it's wonderful and it's precious. And teachers take notes. They notice their kids. They overhear conversations and they're privy to sometimes hidden thoughts expressed in an essay or a debate or a piece of art. Good teachers create safe spaces and students confide in them. And many times teachers have to take that trust to support a child of risk because that is what teachers do. We have a duty of care to protect the safety, health and well-being of children in our care. Parent-teacher interviews are one of the first tasks I took on my first rotation in July, in Nauru in July 2014, in a tent with industrial fans, plastic chairs on harsh white rocks, sweltering heat outside, and parents concerned beyond words about their kids' behaviour, their progress, their happiness, their safety, but overall their future. For the boys without their parents, and there are 29 of those boys, I spoke with their caseworkers. We tried to piece together the most effective and best ways to support these vulnerable and incredibly brave young men. I taught boys from 6 different countries speaking 5 different languages, some of whom had never learned English before, some who'd never been to school before, and over half who were there without one or both of their parents. They were a rowdy, challenging and entirely lovable group of boys. Soccer players, rappers, artists, mechanics, kickboxers, actors, electricians, athletes, jewellery makers. I say were because over the time I taught them, the novelty and energy that a new teacher could bring it couldn't hide the harm, the damage that they'd suffered both in their journeys to Nauru and in their detention, first on Christmas Island and then in Nauru. Before I went there, I had an academic understanding of what detention does to people. Adverse mental health outcomes, psychological harm, tenfold increase in psychiatric disorders in children after detention, prolonging and exacerbating existing stress, and creating lasting psychosocial disability. I knew this academically, but what I didn't know was what it looked like when it is inflicted on real people. The detention centre in Nauru is seared in my memory and in the memory of all of those who have been there. The immense steel fences and gates, generator-powered lights over the 3 sites of the camp, the rows of tents where families lived side by side, and the stifling, intimidating presence of dozens and dozens of predominantly male security officers, hugely muscular and militaristic in their green uniforms, heavy boots and walkie-talkies. These guards, and many of them were lovely people, good men and women who had children of their own and tried to support those around them. These guards would do riot training in full earshot of our school. The drilling of a dozen or more boots, advancing on concrete, accompanied by a chorus of "Move back! Move back!" That was the soundtrack of our school. 5-year-olds arriving at school. Another soundtrack, the desperate screams of anguish, despair and pain of those accommodated next door to our school. Those who had attempted suicide, who were beyond breaking point, who'd been separated from their family. Those screams were horrifying and sickening, but the worst thing was the kids didn't notice them. They just carried on. It had become normal to them, that pain and suffering. I'm not scared to tell you any of these things. I'm not scared of the deed of confidentiality that I signed. I'm not scared of the Border Force Act.